Salam, everyone. Peace and blessings. We are religiously nerdy, and today we're going to talk about Record of Ragnarok, the anime, with our special guest, Maz Ali, who's the English voice actor of Buddha. So it's great to see you finally have you on our podcast. We've been trying to do this for like 3 months, but like for a few months, but because of the actor strike, it got
Yeah,
pushed. But now it's over, and now we're doing this
yeah.
again. That's great. So can you briefly introduce yourself, Mazali?
Yes. My name is Maaz Ali. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings
Yes,
to all y'all listeners. I'm based in LA. I'm a Muslim, Pakistani Indian actor, voice actor, dancer, model. Been at it for about 11 years or so. So, yeah, enjoying. And yeah, it has been about 3 or 4 months, right? I think since we last
Mm-hmm.
chatted. I wasn't able to do anything because of the strike, but the strike is over. So here we are.
Great. So, what are you currently geeking about?
Oh, damn. What am I currently geeking about? I like how that's like the first question. It's like,
I know.
let's just cut to the chase. What are you nerdy about? That's a good question. Let's see. Are y'all into video games by any chance?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I don't really play video games anymore. I just don't have the patience for it at this
Mhm.
age. And but what I do is I like to, because a lot of video games are just great stories and they're like movies. And so I like to watch all the cutscenes and the walkthroughs on YouTube. And the current video game that I've been watching is Spider-Man 2 that just came out on the PS5 with Miles Morales and Peter Parker and Venom. So I've been geeking out about that. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's
Pretty
great
cool.
because I wish I could play video games, but like I still find little time to play video games, but because of my busy schedule, like it's so hard to get into them now. But I do love watching streams because like that's like the next best thing to actually playing a game is just watching people play, which is great. So I've been able to do that.
Yeah,
So
it's so funny because I used to make fun of those people. I used to really make fun of those
Yep.
people that were, that would log on to like World of Warcraft and watch other people, other humans from across the world play. And I'm like, you loser, like who does that? And now like to a degree, I'm kind of doing that too because I really like the story of the game and I'm just like, oh wow, that's cool. Like it's so interactive, and this, the game engine is so cool. So I kind of have done that too. But I used to play a lot of video games too growing up. I think I really cold turkeyed and stopped in high school because honestly, I used to play so much from elementary school up until like sophomore year of high school. I used to play a lot, and then I think, made a commitment. I was like, I need to go outside more and
go
play sports
outside.
more and just maybe mingle with other human beings in the world. And I'm glad I did. And I think so as a result, I'm just like, oh, I can't go back to playing, committing. But I think in group settings, I still play. Like my wife and we play Mario Party on the
Nice.
Switch with everybody that comes over, and
Mhm.
yeah, that's like that's what we like to do. Yeah.
And you voice
Great.
act some characters in games too, right? Like that's something you do too.
Yeah. I got
Mhm.
to I worked recently on a couple of Pokemon games actually. I got to work on Detective Pikachu that just came out for the
Oh.
Switch the beginning of October. I played Sanjeev Dennis, who was a fun character, and then for Pokemon Masters X that just came out a couple months ago as well, I got to play Chairman Rose. So. And I got to do a couple Pokemon as well in Detective Pikachu, which was
Oh
kind of
wow.
kind of cool. Yeah.
It's great.
Fun.
So interesting enough is that my older sister was the one who actually knew you first. I met you at like a Netflix iftar, and then we were like,
Oh.
Mhm.
yeah, and then we were like, oh, and she found out you're the voice actor of one of our favorite anime, and I was like so surprising, which is funny. So that's how we first knew to get to know you, and then it's like, oh, we should definitely have you on our podcast because we want to feature more Muslim actors out there and stuff.
Oh
So
yeah,
that
that's
must have been
awesome. Yeah,
so
that's so funny
interesting.
you said that. I don't know. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, she was so sweet and she was hilarious. She we were in the food line. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I don't know how we started talking. I think we were talking about the food, or maybe just we were both fasting that day, so we were talking about being Muslim.
Food.
And
What else can you
we
talk
yeah,
about?
such a deep conversation. Yeah, so yeah, I think we were talking, and then I think we got to anime. Oh, she had asked. She's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, so I'm here because I do one of the animes here, that a Netflix anime." And then so she's like, "Oh, what anime?" And then we talked about Record of Ragnarok, and then she's like, "Who do you voice?" And I was like, "I'm the English voice of Buddha." And then I don't know if you guys are familiar with like cats, but when they kind of are startled and they kind of start backtracking a little bit away, she did one of those. But I just
That's
think she was
funny.
like,
I'm
"Oh, that's
imagining it right
cool."
now.
Yeah, yeah, you all know her
It's
obviously better than me.
hilarious.
But
That's
that
great.
was funny, and then we just kind of nerded out and got to talk. So yeah,
Mhm.
that was funny. I didn't know that was your sister. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it was so interesting. Yeah. So, how did you get into voice acting and acting also in general?
Hmm.
Yeah. Well, for me, so I'm the youngest of three in my family, and my family was always really into television, film, Indian movies. I'm Pakistani and Indian, as I mentioned before. So we grew up a lot on just watching TV. And because I was also the youngest, I had sort of two sets of parents. I have an older sister and an older brother, and they always took care of me. And as far as like doing things, they always had me covered. And so being the youngest, I kind of had a lot of time to just observe people and see what people, what their behavior was like. So I, at a really young age, started doing impersonations and impressions and just really observing TV shows and movies and, just that idea of people being gravitated to someone who's like performing. I think that caught my interest at a really young age. And for a long time, I sort of defined myself as that sort of person. I was like, this is my contribution to people. Other people will debate, other people will, can do one thing or that. And I just felt this is how I give myself purpose, and this is how I sort of define myself. And so I also grew up a lot, playing video games, and I played Metal Gear Solid a lot growing up as a kid. And one of my inspirations, or there was a couple of voice actors on that, Cam Clark and David Hayter, both who voiced Liquid and Solid Snake respectively, and those are just iconic voices. And Metal Gear Solid was like a movie, honestly. If y'all
Mm.
played it, or if any of the listeners are familiar with it, the storyline was insane. And anytime there was a new Metal Gear Solid that dropped, it was like the biggest deal, and we had to grab our hands and play it. But just love of cinema, love of storytelling, and just being a performer. My first, I guess, love was dance, and so um, you know, kind of started doing that first. And I've always loved acting and voice acting a lot. And those are some of my inspos with the likes of David Hayter and Cam Clark, and yeah, just something I always knew that I wanted to pursue or try to do. So
Awesome. Yeah. That's cool to hear you following your dreams. I'm sure you didn't get any pushback from your family, which is sounds good, I guess. So yeah.
I mean,
Who knows?
let's be real.
But look at you now.
No, I think it's. I think for the most part, yeah, my family was very supportive, and there was definitely pushback here and there that, I think we all face it, and we all face it in our own capacity and means, and everybody has their own struggles. But for the most part, you know, um, people always, my siblings always encouraged me to be a little bit of who I was, and they used to
Nice.
kind of, put the hand up to my parents, be like, just let them be him. And it was only when I actually was like, hey, I actually want to go pursue this. Then there was a little bit of, oh, okay. But it's they just want, it's just the typical concerns that everybody has
Of course.
for their loved ones, and they just want them to be stable, successful, and not waste any years of their life potentially doing other things, and they just want you to be happy ultimately. And so over the course of time, I was able to show them, and I was really open with them about my auditions and who I'm hanging out with, or the classes I'm taking, and hey, I got to do this gig now. And I was just very, very open and showed them what I did. And that made them, at least my parents, made them feel more involved. And so they started naturally asking questions of, oh, how was your audition today? Or how was class today? And, they took a really big interest eventually. They're still parents at the end of the day. So there's questions or like, why don't you do this? Every now and then, but it's not, I'm lucky. I'm very lucky to have like amazing parents and family. Yeah.
That's great to hear.
So what was your experience like getting into this anime, Record of Ragnorak? How did you get this role of the English voice actor of Buddha?
Yeah. I mean, the short answer is I auditioned for it, and they liked my voice.
Great voice, by the way. But
oh, thank you. No, yeah, it was cool. I really, I act on screen as well, but with voice acting, again, it was something that I always wanted to do, but I never gave it as much importance as I did with, TV shows or movies or independent projects that I was trying to do where I was an on-screen actor. But the pandemic happened in 2020, and I really, everything was shut down. No one was really meeting, and that's when voice acting really started taking off for people, and a lot of A-list celebs reverted to that and were doing voice acting as a result, because hey, it's COVID, it's pandemic, we can't meet up, and so people were looking at voice acting instead and took a lot of those jobs. But that's when I really invested. I got myself a microphone and proper tech, and I was like, yeah, let me do this and try to make some reels and just get my voice out there. And I love when it comes to voice acting, like I love like impersonations, and I used to do a lot of those as well. And to start, I put a lot of those on tape and ship them around. And yeah, eventually, long story short, you flash forward to, I think it was 2021 or 2022. They liked me for the voice of Buddha, and I got it. So yeah, it was really, really cool. And it was kind of a cool moment for me because traditionally I'm not an anime guy. I'm sorry to admit, but I am getting into anime now. But I knew that I was like, wait a minute. I know, sorry. I know, I just killed my legitimacy. I know. But it was cool because I was like, I mean, any anime you see, you don't even have to be a fan. The voice acting is like so iconic and so amazing and extraordinary. And so the fact that was starting out with the Record of Ragnorak, I was like really, really excited. I was like, this is a cool opportunity. I don't want to screw this up. So yeah.
Nice. Great. Also, I love the voice, by the way. I think it probably is my favorite voice that I've heard because from the show, which is just saying, because I like the Buddha as a character a lot, and I just love his attitude, and I was like, this great voice for it. So
say that beginning part again, because I just like no, I'm kidding. If I'm being honest, the connection actually went in and out, so I'm actually genuinely asking. Say that beginning part again.
That was good timing.
I was saying that the Buddha voice was like my favorite voice from the show. Record of Ragnorak show. It was my favorite. Yeah. And I just loved his attitude throughout. It was great. Also, it's just because he was also a great character, so I'm like kind of biased, but like, yeah, I would say that was my favorite.
That's a good for us. That's a good thing because we usually watch sub anime, like that's our go-to. So we usually listen to it in the original like Japanese. So these are like one of the few animes we watch dub. So in order to have like that cool experience, it's nice too.
Amazing. First of all, that's so, thank you so much. That means the world. But yeah, is the English? I have a question for y'all. Now this is my show.
Mhm.
Is the dub for Record of Ragnarok, like, how does it compare to like to other animes? I'm just curious to
It's
hear.
pretty good.
You
It's
know,
pretty. I
Mhm.
yeah,
think dub in general is getting better as a whole. I don't know if you
Mhm.
know the history of dubbing of anime and stuff like that. Sometimes, like again, like if you compare it to hearing it in the original sound and the original voice, some things might not translate easily, or emotions might be, I guess, misunderstood when it's brought into like a Western, like American audience. Because one thing,
right.
English is one thing, but sometimes you have to change some of the dialogue so that like it matches like Western like slang. Sometimes, like I feel
Hmm.
like it's getting better now, but that's what usually what the stereotype of dubbing is that like sometimes it's not good. Simply like and the
Right.
Japanese is better because like emotions don't carry or things like that
Yeah.
Mhm.
pretty well. But yeah, this is pretty good though. And dubbing as a
This
Yeah.
show,
whole,
I would say, was one
nice.
of the good dubs. I would say.
Yes.
I would
Wow.
say that. Mhm.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
any anime person that I know, they watch it in the sub. My brother-in-law, for example, literally my wife's brother, is a huge anime guy. He loves like Attack on Titan
Nice.
and Death Note, and I mean
Mhm.
everything, right? He's an anime head, and I was excited to tell him. I was like, "Hey, man, I booked an anime," and he's like, "Oh, that's awesome." And he was like, "No offense." And I'm like, "What?" He was like, "I'm never gonna watch it in dub." And I was like,
Oh,
Oh,
hey,
no.
"Okay."
come
But
on.
I respect it. I respect it because, hey, I mean, you're an anime guy. You got to
Well,
do what you got
don't
to
tell
do.
him
What's for
that
you?
we think the regular Ragnarok dub is good, so you should watch it. As someone who
No,
watches
no.
anime subs, we
Yeah,
think
yeah,
the
yeah.
regular
No,
Ragnarok dub is good.
I think he did watch it for me.
He eventually
Ultimately,
like
Watch it
gave
for
in.
you,
It has
good.
to
yeah.
support family. Like I don't know. It's kind
You
of
should
like
do it anyways, but I would say it was one of the good dubs. So, did you
Awesome,
have
awesome.
come across any challenges in the role as Buddha?
Yo, yeah, I did. Um, so anytime, like my approach to characters and like my training and what I like what my technique is it's uh it's interesting because you just see in what the character is and you read the breakdown and like the character description, you sort of get an idea of who the character is, and then you also see what the character actually looks like. Now, does he have like an underbite? Does he have an overbite? There's a lot of areas and clues that you can get as to how to give that voice or what kind of accent or tone you might have, right? Or, because depending on how your facial structure is too, or if you're wearing braces, for example, your voice and where you're going to come out with is going to be different, varying on like, what you are, what you look like. And right. Like there's a lot of like little details like that is fun to break down. And I did one role where I got to play like a king sort of like character, and he was really royal, and you had to really enunciate correctly, and you had to have like a little bit of a deeper register, and just be more royal and regal. So when I got Buddha, the it was a challenge because what the hell is Buddha, right? Like
yeah,
to an extent,
right.
like who is this guy? And I gave a lot of credit to my director because he was also in the same boat as me. He was like, it's hard to nail this guy down. And what's interesting is that when you are doing English dub, you are able to kind of listen to the sub voice a little bit and sort of get some inspiration, and you know um which was for Buddha. Obviously he did Gojo. He's like a legend in like the anime voicing game, and
Mm.
yeah, so he's awesome. But so you have a little inspo here and there, but you also don't want to sound or try to sound exactly like him, because then it's not going it's just not going to work, right? So ultimately I learned with Buddha, like it's really like it's really like the same techniques that you would do for on-screen acting, which is like you're just acting, and it really is channeled from within. This whole attitude and this whole persona and all the gripes that Buddha has as a character, you just have to channel that. So you can't really like put on a voice and then find the character that way. I had to really just kind of find the Buddha within me first, and then really just like let it rip. And then once I found a certain rhythm, then I just knew, and I had that rhythm going. But yeah, it took a while to kind of figure out like who the hell is this guy, because he's like this like angsty teen. He's like the greatest adolescent that ever lived, and you have to figure these things out. And so it was a little challenging at first to really find his voice, but yeah, I think I got there eventually.
That's a cool way to think about it, because voice acting, like it is acting, but at the same time, it's not the same too, because then you're not playing like your image of your, like you're playing something doesn't look like you, which is another thing.
Yeah.
And like trying to, that's really cool to hear about that. Like, do you have like any characteristics of like Buddha that you actually have like yourself? Like
Probably.
You like to snack a lot.
That voice right there.
I do snack a lot.
Yeah.
I snack a lot. I need to be snacking on something at all times. Yeah, I eat a lot throughout the day. Drives my wife absolutely insane. But like it's like, you know, finger food.
Yeah. Did you have to?
Sorry, what was that? Sorry.
I was saying Ramadan must have been hard for you, but then.
Oh yeah, it is hard for me. But I shout out at Star, you know, or sorry, at Sunur. Yeah, no, it's good. And did you ask something about actually eating?
Did you like have to eat during any of their lines to like get the actual like?
Yeah, actually, I had. Excuse me, I had an actual lollipop a few times, like in my intro scenes. So I had fun with that. But the scene, you know, where he meets. Yeah, exactly that lollipop is his MO. But that scene where he talks to Brune with the popcorn, he's like, "You want some?" I had no popcorn. I kind of just voiced and just went to town and just had fun with it on my own. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So, you know what's funny too is that I was also able to see the voice actors of Jack the Ripper and Brunhilde, the English voice actors. I actually saw them at Anime Expo this past year, and they were like showcasing the show because like the second part of the season was coming out, and they were also seemed like a fun bunch and everything. And I was wondering if you ever interacted with them, and how were they like?
Oh no! Honestly, I haven't been able to interact with them. No, you know, a lot of times I think with dubbing specifically, they bring the actors in one at a time. So yeah, we don't really have to like play off of each other. Yeah, we're not really doing that. But yeah, I mean, like I think Brunhilde is played by Laura Post, I believe is her name. If I might be mistaken, but yeah, she's awesome. And Jack the Ripper voice, I love.
Yeah, I love their voices too. So yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I liked him. I liked Zeus's character. Zeus's voice is also awesome too. Yeah, and it is intimidating, I think, going into it too, because you hear these amazing like performances, and you know, to me, because I can throw my voice and make it very distinct to not sound it like myself, but as I was mentioning earlier, that Buddha is more of just an attitude, so my voice comes out from that attitude as opposed to putting on a different voice and then, right? So oftentimes I felt like I was just being me, and I was like, how did it turn out? But the director and the production team, I mean, they're all geniuses, and yeah, they you know, they did a good job with me. So Yeah.
Was
Great.
this one of your first? Like, was this your first acting role, or did you have others like before it? Like, what is
Hmm.
your history in voice acting? If you
No, I've done a lot of dubbing before.
Mhm.
I've done it for a lot of actually like Indian productions that
Oh, I see.
go from like Hindi or Tamil to English dub.
Oh wow.
So I've done that a couple times. I've done a lot of video games as well. These
Hmm.
one-offs here and there. RPG types of games, and obviously, after or during Ragnarok, I also did as the Pokemon games as well.
Hmm.
I also got to do some background like ADR work for Miss Marvel, actually, which was pretty
Oh,
cool.
cool.
Ooh.
Also,
Nice.
yeah. So that was a lot of
I love
fun.
Miss Marvel. She another
Yeah,
great character
just came
out in
out.
that
Yeah,
Marvel MCU
The
universe.
the
MCU,
Marvel
yeah,
came out. Miss
definitely.
Marvel, the show we love, of course, and then the Marvels
Yeah.
just came out. So,
Yeah.
yeah, nice to
Still
hear.
need to watch the
Did y'all
Marvels,
see?
but I will. Twin
Oh, you still
has.
need to see it. Okay, okay,
I still
got
need
it.
to see it. So don't
Awesome, awesome.
spoil anything, but I heard she was great in the movie, so I would say that. But
Yeah, I
it's
heard
so cool
she's
that
like
you're
the standout.
to stand out. So it's cool that you worked for Miss Marvel. That's cool.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, so we there's a lot of scenes like ADR, it's basically you're filling in like the background actors or
Mm-hmm.
the characters that are attending a wedding or
Yeah.
people in the street.
Mm-hmm.
You're just filling in like little voices here and there or the people in the bazaar, etc. And they
Hmm.
were looking specifically for Urdu speaking, right? Actors because it's a
Mm-hmm.
Pakistani based show and
Mm-hmm.
Urdu being like the main language, they were really looking for specifically people doing that. They were able to speak that. Um, I was mostly featured, I believe, in episode 4. It's where Kamala is entering Pakistan and she's on the flight, and so I
Nice.
played actually
Oh, a partition
Oh,
the
episode
pilot.
then.
The pilot,
Yeah.
oh,
yeah,
that's
Wow.
yeah. I
because
got
you're
to speak
flying.
all
Yeah, like
Urdu.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And then I
This must have
think there's
been
another
nice.
scene. Sorry, I keep talking over you. My bad.
No, continue.
um, I was also saying that there's also a small part where I think she's fighting Red Dagger for the first time,
Mm.
and he's like, "Come with me if you want to live," and like there's people just shouting in the back, which is
Mm.
like the guards and the cops. Yeah, I was one of those guys too.
Oh,
But
cool.
yeah, those are a few times where you can hear my voice. Yeah, but that was
Nice.
cool. Yeah, it was a really really cool process. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
nice.
so much
I
goes
should, now,
into
if I'm on
voice
rewatching Miss Marvel, I'll have to look out for you now.
acting.
Please.
All right, great. So, do you have any advice for Muslims specifically who's trying to get into voice acting and stuff like that?
Mhm.
Um, it's a loaded
Or just in
question, but
general.
it's a good question.
Mm.
Let's see. I mean, at first it's going to sound generic, but I would say obviously just go after it, like 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't ever feel that you're not worthy or that you're not good enough. If it's something that you want to do it. And what I mean by that is, um, nowadays with social media, with the iPhone, and wherever we are in the world, we can really practice and work on our craft, right? I would say that ultimately just work on your craft because there's a lot of ways to learn about acting. There's a lot of ways to learn about voice acting and techniques and what types of materials and tech you need that's required. And just constantly work on your craft, right? Um, I've watched like a lot of, honestly, just, I've taken classes, yes, but I've also watched a lot of just stuff on YouTube on my own, where I've also geeked out. And, you have to genuinely be a geek about this stuff. I've geeked out and watched,
Mm-hmm.
as I was mentioning before, some of the two big voice actors for the Metal Gear Solid series, David Hayter and Cam Clark. I just listened to them and I've watched videos where they're in the video in the sound booth or the audio booth and
Nice.
doing their thing, and I'm just taking notes on that and like how they're able to throw their voice or what are some techniques they're using or how they're able they may do wild lines, which is where you're doing one line, but you say the same line over and over again, and you give a different take and read on it each time.
Oh.
So just seeing how they differentiate a line, but even though it's the same emotion, right? But they still add nuances to it. So watching that, I mean, there's so many opportunities to do that, as in to learn about the craft, right? So I would say, like, if you're really into something, just try to be the best at it as much as possible, and you can do that anywhere. You could start recording on your iPhone. You could start using a voice note, from there. Because I was doing that a lot. I mean, I started out, I was like, I like to, do impersonations and impressions. I'm going to start doing that. Can I do my voice like this? Can I sound sad? Can I, do a high pitched voice, which I really can't because my voice is very deep. But, can I do accents or, and if you suck at it, who cares? Like, you're just having fun. Everyone sucks at the beginning, and just keep at it. And I would say just start there. Like, really, really love the craft and enjoy it, and go to town. Yeah, that'd be my advice. And then if you're already done that, then I would say, there's a lot of agencies online too. Just submit, see if like anyone wants to rep you, and then just start there. Or like, if you don't have the credentials for that yet, then just take whatever job or gig you can, and just become familiar with the process, become familiar with how to use a microphone, become familiar with, again, what the whole process is like, what a take is, consists of, what, working with a sound engineer or what the director is like, and just try to find what our opportunities you can.
Yeah. Awesome. That's
great advice that you
very
have.
long-winded, sorry, but yeah.
It was great advice. Yeah, you don't really see a lot of Muslim voice actors out there, so that's why I had to must have been, maybe it was difficult for you, I don't know, to get your first role, but seeing that you just have to keep trying to get there. And then
yeah, I mean, eventually it is, with auditioning in general. I mean, people always, first of all, the one thing is have you put in your 10,000 hours into the craft? So if you're doing that, good. If you're not, then try to do that. But then also, there is going to be a lot of auditions that you don't get, and you're going to have to go through at least 100 or no's to finally get that yes. And that's just the nature of the beast. And with voice acting, that's actually more so the case, because there is a lot of voice acting gigs, whether it's a commercial, whether it's an animation, whether it's for a tech company. There's a lot of opportunities. And so you're going to get a lot of auditions, and you're going to be rejected a lot more, but that's just how it goes. And as long as you continue to just put in the time and the work and making the connects that you got to do, then the time will come eventually. Yeah.
Great.
Oh, thanks for answering all our questions. Another thing I would like to ask, though, is what is coming up for you? Any cool things you're doing right now or about to come out that people would like to see and enjoy?
Yeah, for sure. What am I working on right now? Well, if are you guys a fan of horror shows, or?
I do like horror. Yes, we do like horror.
Okay, well, I'm on the latest season of American Horror Story.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. It's just yeah, no, it is really, really cool. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So it's season 12. It's American Horror Story Delegate, and I was actually in New York when you all had contacted me, and I was about to come back to LA because we had to stop production. We were able to record the first, because of the strike. So we recorded the first 5 episodes. So part 1 of American Horror Story came out in September. And went through July, but now that the strike is over, we're gonna go back and finish recording the rest of the season. Yeah, so
I gotta check that out then.
Yeah. I play a character by the name of Kamal.
Come on.
and I'm a big old brooding bodyguard. So yeah, it's a lot of it was pretty fun.
Great. Will we see
Yeah,
more of Buddha in the future?
I
I
don't
don't know if you
know.
can answer. What?
I
You
don't
don't know?
know. I don't know. I would hope so. I would hope so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One question: have you seen all of
Yeah.
Record of Ragnarok, or just your part? Okay, you've seen all of it.
No, yeah, I've
Oh,
seen it all.
yes, you've seen it all. So,
I've seen it all. I wanted to also, just get to know the show, get to
mm-hmm.
know the character, wherever I can, and kind of do my own research. I even um, read a little bit of the manga. It's called manga or manga? Manga, right?
Yes, manga.
Okay, I said it right.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, anime points.
Yes.
Yeah, so I read the manga, and especially my parts, when it comes to me fighting Zero Fuku,
Mm-hmm.
and Papias. So yeah, I had some ideas, especially for the manga, like when I was filming my fight scenes, like where I wanted to take it, or have some come in with some ideas as far as like how I wanted to deliver certain lines. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's the whole part of like acting. I think is like really really fun for me, whether it's voice acting, whether it's like acting on camera or screen. I love doing the research. I love like
Mm-hmm.
deep diving and doing my character and building that out for me. And for them, that's how I was trained, because my teacher was always like, you should want to drive yourself insane asking questions about your character, like what are his parents like, what were the relationships like with his friends, with his parents, and just kind of making that whole like world a reality for you. That's the funnest part. So yeah, I love really deep diving in on the show that I'm working on, or the character, if I'm able to, and just try to bring that. So yeah.
Awesome.
Great. So yeah, thanks for joining us again on our
Yeah.
podcast. It was great speaking with you.
Yeah,
And
thank you so much. Thank you.
any last minute advice or anything else you want to share?
Yeah, just how to find you on
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
Instagram
Oh
or
yeah, yeah.
social media.
Yeah, yeah. You can find me on. I mean, Instagram is my main one, so it's at Mazi Ali. So it's MAAZYALI. Yeah. I mean, I'm always telling people about my career, where to look out for me, and what to do, and what to watch. But yeah, I would say, yeah, I mean, check out and watch the first part of American Horror Story season 12, and be on the
Watch
watch
Record
out
of
for
Ragnorak.
part two. Yes, watch Record of Ragnarok. What were yeah? I mean, what else did y'all like about Record of Ragnarok? I'm just curious.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
how I'm a huge anime fan, so I love all the like tropes when it comes to like fight
Absurdity.
scenes and stuff. So like
It's funny.
loved how in Record of Ragnorak every fight is like 3 to 5 episodes long and you're just in one fight the whole time. And then
It's so
it's the
drawn out.
backstories. It's the backstories that drive the fight forward.
Yeah, it's so
So
funny.
like
When I first started
all of
watching the
that.
show, yeah, when I first started watching the first season, and I
Mm-hmm.
was watching like Adam versus Zeus, or
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all those fights, and I was like, bro, how long is this? Like, when does this end? And like, how much variations of fighting can you do? And it's wild because I had already knew what was going to happen in Buddha's fight, because I had read the manga.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're reading the manga, and obviously it's like
So
this
much
too
fun.
when you're watching the show, but you like, it does take you for an emotional journey, because you are like, holy cow, like, oh, he's gonna die. Oh no, he's not gonna die. He's gonna win. And they're like, oh, he is gonna
Exactly.
die. And you just go back and forth.
This is
And they just do
crazy.
that so well. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really really
Yeah.
fun.
For me, I did, of course, I like all of that, but also just like education and learning about all these different like gods of like his history and stuff. That's really cool too. 'Cause, like, there's so many like people I didn't know about, like, and learning their stories. Like, that's so like cool. Like, our world is so vast and big and diverse, so it's supposed to see like other like cultures and stuff as well. So that was cool to watch as well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I would agree with that. Definitely. But yeah, I mean that's all I got from me. Yeah. I
Mhm.
don't know.
Nice.
Yeah, I would say the show I kept watching the show because of the fact that I want to know what's going to happen. I want to know who's going to win, so I have to keep watching even though it's taking too long. So they did do
I
that to us.
know. I know. They do that all the time. I
They
know
do
they
that all
left
the
you on
time.
the they left you on the cliffhanger first for season 2 where Buddha
Because it
makes the
was in two
announcement.
parts.
Yeah, it was in 2 parts where I announced that I'm gonna fight for the humans now,
Yeah.
and then the
That was
extra
good.
5 came out. So I was like,
Mhm.
oh, this is interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah. They love to hold your attention and tease you to the umpth
Exactly.
degree. Yeah.
If have
Right.
you watched other anime, or was that like the only one you've seen? Because that's kind of like a common trope in anime, just like having all these things.
Oh yeah. No, so as I was mentioning, I am getting more into the anime world. So,
Nice.
I've watched the pilots for Death Note as well as Attack on Titan.
Mhm.
I know Attack on Titan just finished recently.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And my brother-in-law, who I was mentioning, he was very much like, yeah, I need to sit down and watch this and not be interrupted. I was like, I completely get it. And then he's like, do you want me to spoil it for you? I was like, no, because I do want to watch it. So, I just
Good.
started
Mhm.
recently,
No
but yeah, I
spoilers.
am.
And we're not
No, no
and we're not
spoilers,
saying anything.
please. No spoilers, please. No, because it's cool. I mean, they're so yeah, man. They know how to tell stories, man. So it's really awesome. Yeah,
Nice.
Great.
All right.
Well, I
yeah,
recommend that you do finish that anime. It's very good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Please let me. No, but thanks again for having me. This is a lot of
No
fun and
problem.
awesome to see y'all doing this too. And yeah, go Buddha.
Yeah. Good luck in your other projects as well that are going on. And I hope to see more Buddha in the future. But
Yeah,
Happy.
we'll
definitely. I
see.
think you might, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. All right, salams.
All right,
Bye.
so thank y'all.